What is up, folks? What is going on? And welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Thanks for coming back and checking in with us. As always, we do appreciate it. My name is Mike. I'm the host of the show. And as always, again, I am joined by my esteemed co-hosts. We have Kat back in the studio tonight. What is up?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
You excited to talk about this movie tonight?
I'm very excited.
As we are less than a half an hour removed from walking out seeing the new Scream movie, which we will get to in full detail. But first, I'd be remiss if I did not mention my other esteemed co-host, Andrew. What is up?
What is up? What is up?
Not too much, man. What's going on? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Same old, same old.
We missed you last episode.
Yeah,
it was-
Or did we? I don't know. We'll see.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
more succinct, but it was
Okay.
it wasn't
All
as
right.
exciting.
I see.
I'm
I see
kidding.
how it is.
I'm kidding.
How are you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I'm doing good. You know, I'm still holding strong in dry January, as are you, Andrew. And
Oh, yeah.
Kat, you are too. What? Oh,
I'm out.
Oh, that's right. That's
out.
right.
10
you
days
are
strong,
out.
and that was it for
I don't
me.
know if it was 10 days strong. It was maybe 10
It
days.
was 10 days and you were sniffing wine
I was
bottles.
sniffing wine bottles,
Yeah, to
and I
get
was
just
like,
to get a smell of what it was like to drink wine. But you made it. I guess you gave in the old college try. You gave it the old college
That's all right.
try.
I got a good reset. I had enough days.
Well, 2 weeks, Andrew. Two
Hey,
more to go.
2 weeks, 2 to go.
Yeah,
We'll be
and that-
there in no time.
And that crack that you heard, that was me cracking a ginger lime mule polar seltzer, which is, I guess, helping to pass the time in January. We also have Otis, the official hound dog of America's Hometown Horror, in the studio with us. So if you hear him
Snooping
barking,
around.
say hey, say what's up. But so Kat, I feel like we should bring up the fact that the episode that we just did, Andrew and I, we reserved ourselves. We want to do a little bit more of a hooray for us, I guess, this episode while we're all here. That was our 100th episode as a podcast.
Hooray, beer!
Hooray, beer.
Well, no
So yeah, this will be episode 101.
I
We've
missed the 100th
officially
episode?
hit
Yeah, you
triple
loser.
digits.
Jeez.
You can consider this to be the official 100th one, just so
Yeah,
happens.
that's
This is
nice.
the 100.
Yeah.
This is the 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
better than
Yeah,
the
so there you go. So it just
Fine.
happened to fall that way.
Fine.
But we made it to triple digits, you guys. Unbelievable.
Shocking.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I know.
That's how long? 2
Well,
full
It's
years.
a lot
in
of
the
talking.
making.
I know. Lots of talking and lots of people listening to us talking, I suppose, which is just equally as wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but so I guess before we jump into this movie tonight, which I know we all have some varying thoughts on, a piece of sad news. A couple weeks ago, or a month ago, I would say, we did have the opportunity to go to Fright Kingdom's Christmas haunt, the Frightmare Before Christmas, their Krampus and haunted Christmas-themed haunt. And I know we mentioned the fact that they also do one for Valentine's Day, and unfortunately that has been canceled this year due to COVID.
Another COVID cancellation.
Another one bites the
COVID
dust.
casualty.
Yeah,
It's only
COVID
been
casualty.
2
Which
years
stinks.
now, so-
I was really hoping that Fright Kingdom would get a chance to do that this year and that maybe we'd get an opportunity to go, but there's always next year. So if you were looking forward to that like we were, sorry to be the bearer of bad news if you hadn't heard this yet, but no Valentine's Day haunt at Fright Kingdom.
No Valentines.
But real quick before we jump into this movie, I know we usually talk about things we've watched, and sometimes we have some things that aren't so interesting, and sometimes we have some things that are interesting, and I know Kat and I have been obsessed with Yellowjackets on Showtime. You want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Yellowjackets, Kat?
Yeah, it's cool. I didn't really know going into it what it was going to be about. I surprisingly love it. It's awesome. It's this whole soccer team, and they get stranded, kind of lost situation, and they're trying to live off the land, and there's something spooky going on that we don't really know about yet. But
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Yeah.
And the people who survive, they look like they have a lot of issues in their adulthood. So
So it flashes back and forth between the 90s and then present day with some of the survivors. You don't necessarily know what's going on in the future, what happened when they were there in the woods, but it's definitely intriguing. There's some weird stuff going on.
starting to unfold. So I'm excited to keep watching.
It almost has like a Lord of the Flies meets the Blair Witch Project type vibe for me. Lots of stick figures and weird symbols in the woods, and it's but the thing is, it's a girls' soccer team, so it's all females aside from a few guys, like one of the coaches, and then a couple other people that survived the plane crash.
Yeah, Travis and his
And the
brother.
coach and his brother and the coach. Yeah, it's an awesome show. I really like it a lot so far. We're about halfway through season 1. The season finale, as of the recording, was last night, so we can actually watch the whole thing. But it did get renewed for a second season, so I'm excited to see how it ends. I really, really like this show a lot, and I'm happy that we started watching it. This actually is executive produced by Karen Kasama, who directed Jennifer's Body and also directed The Invitation, Andrew, which is a
awesome movie.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so she's the executive producer of the show, and she directed the first episode, which the first episode actually kind of grabs you within the first 30 seconds. There's some really messed up shit that happens. So you would probably like this, Andrew. You should check it out.
Showtime, you said?
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Check
So
it
Yellowjackets on Showtime, well worth your time. Andrew, what about you? Anything cool you've watched lately?
Not since the last time we podcasted.
That's true.
Which
Okay.
was what, Friday?
Thursday?
Friday?
Wednesday? I don't know. One of those days.
Someday last week.
But yeah, all right. So if we got nothing else, let's jump right into Scream. Scream 2022, Scream 5, whatever you want to call it. And I guess what I would say to start off here, my overall thought is that with this movie, like many other legacy sequels or requels, whatever you want to call them, I think the level of fandom that you're going to have for this movie, the level of fandom you're going to have from this movie is really going to depend on the level of fandom you have for the franchise as a whole. And I think for me, I'm a fan. It's not one of my all-time favorites. There were some definite cool parts for sure, but I think my immediate reaction, gut call, leaving the theater, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Ooh.
So I will stop there, and I know that you, Kat, are a huge fan of this franchise. So I will let you give your thoughts here. Spoiler free, because this is a new movie, and there are some twists, some cool parts that we don't want to spoil quite just yet. So what'd you think?
All right, so I would say, Scream in general it's kind of corny. It's saying, it seems to be the first one where, Randy's telling you the rules of a scary movie and everything, and all these people who are, obsessed with horror movies. I think that the corniness is, expected. You're supposed to think that it's corny. You get the characters coming back that are, from the original versus the legacy thing. And actually, I did write a little note while we were watching this about the requel thing. Mm-hmm. It does bother me that they just call it Scream, because there is already a Scream. Put some sort of little, tag under it or something, Scream Forever, Scream the next, whatever, Scream 2022 if you really want. But I liked it because it met all the...
Scream H2022.
It met my expectations. I figured going into it that it was going to be another corny kind of thing, spin-off almost. It's going to have present-day elements of it, but still have the same kind of underlying theme, which it did. I think that I liked it. Yes.
So I would say, you would probably say that Scream is probably within your top 5 or probably even your top 3 horror movies of all time, right? So you, with that being said, you were happy with this movie.
I was happy with it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it was one of my all-time favorite movies, but I was not disappointed.
So you felt it was a worthy sequel?
Yes.
Okay. Andrew, what about you?
I went into this movie fully met all my expectations, because I went into this movie it's going to be blah. It's going to be a Scream movie where the same people basically die, and it was essentially just that. It was just another Scream movie. So I had zero interest to see this movie to begin with. And after seeing it, I have zero interest to even, after talking about it today, mention it in any sort of... If someone goes, "Have you seen any good movies lately?" I'll be like, no.
Oh, stop it.
It's so boring. It's just, I don't know. But I was going to say that.
Yeah,
yes.
and because you're not a fan of the original one.
Yeah, they don't do anything for me. So it's not like a knock. It's just, I don't like it.
I know.
Doesn't do it.
Not your thing. I know. Phantasm 2 would be better.
It definitely continues the whole meta commentary on horror movies, which there's a lot of name dropping for, a lot of recent horror movies that have come out since between Scream 4 and this one. They're all the characters, just like in the first one, are very self-aware of the stakes and the rules of what they're in, almost to the point where they're hitting you over the head with it a little bit too much.
Every movie they mentioned in it, though, we've done a podcast on.
I wrote that down as my note. It follows
okay.
The Babadook,
The Witch,
Hereditary. Yeah, all of them that they mentioned, we've talked about.
Yeah, that one girl, the first girl, in the first scene, safe to say she's a fan of A24 movies, I think, because she ripped off all of those to start
Wasn't
off.
this written by A24?
No, actually.
I thought you said it was.
This would be beneath them. A24. Yeah. They do much more of the as they talk about in the movie, elevated horror. That's what
I thought you said that for some reason the other day, but no, I can't remember.
No, so I think this initially was attached to Blumhouse.
Okay.
And they didn't get it. I'm not. I know this was tossed back and forth between companies for a long time. I don't really think they did a lot of new things with the material. I feel like this movie is a walking personification of member berries from South Park, which you can say really about any legacy movie. They say, "Oh, that's fantastic," but I mean, like, they even talk about some of those legacy sequels, some of those requels in this movie, and they mention them by name, and they talk about some of the toxic fandom behind some of those sequels. So it's very tongue-in-cheek, very self-aware, which, again, par for the course for a Scream movie. I guess, like, I would have to ask you guys. So in like the requel pantheon, right? So I'm just thinking of some of the big ones that have come out over the last few years. Was this movie better or worse than Jurassic World?
I haven't seen those.
You've never seen Jurassic World?
Is that the first Jurassic?
That's the first of the new trilogy.
Of the new ones? Maybe I've seen like parts of that one.
Yeah.
I need to watch those because I kind of want to watch
Jurassic World was awesome.
Yeah. I didn't think it was awesome. I think this is about on par with that.
Jurassic World's the one with the white dinosaur.
Yeah, the Indominus Rex. Yeah, that's that one. What'd you like better? This Scream sequel, or the 2018 Halloween requel?
2018
yeah,
Halloween.
I think I'll go with the Halloween.
I think I liked Halloween better, actually by a large
margin.
Yeah.
Large marge.
Scream 5, or Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Afterlife.
Same. Ghostbusters, the franchise, means more to me than the Scream franchise does, so I feel like I'm kind of biased there.
Better movie? I'm gonna go with Scream.
Scream. Okay.
Candyman's better.
The Force Awakens, or Scream 5?
Oh.
I didn't think Force Awakens was that bad of a movie. I thought it was actually
It
pretty
wasn't,
good.
but
It's better. I would rather that.
I think that this is probably the most comparable out of all those movies to The Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's
This is essentially the first movie with new characters.
Yeah.
And bringing back old characters. Just like The Force Awakens was A New Hope, but with new characters.
okay, yeah.
You can't compare
true.
Star Wars to Scream.
I know
I'm
you
just saying,
can't.
you can't, but
Like-
in terms of like the structure of the movie and the way they did it,
Okay.
that's what I mean
All right.
by that.
Similarities.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And I mean, we're not going to spoil it quite yet. The twist didn't do it for me. I wasn't a fan. I thought it'd be more intricate.
twist?
Yeah,
Like, what
I
was a
wouldn't
twist.
even. I wouldn't even really call it a twist. To be honest
I
with
thought
you.
it was obvious from the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Which,
Are you
I
just saying like who the killers were?
yeah,
That's
I
a
was kind of
twist?
that's what I meant.
It's
yeah.
not a twist. It's expected. You're gonna know who the killers are by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I
done
guess.
something different.
I thought it was very predictable. I thought that
Well,
they.
it's supposed to be. It's Scream.
Why
It's
is
not
it supposed to be predictable? I don't think they went into that intending for the ending, the whatever, to be predictable.
Can I start talking a little bit of details?
Yeah, all
So-
right. So, hey, at this point now, we're 13 minutes in. If you haven't seen the new Scream movie yet and you care to see it, stop listening here and come back, as we're going to go full into the spoiler territory here. So, yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, the guy that looks like my friend Charlie, Dylan
Minette. Yeah, he plays Wes.
So, I liked the scene when he's in his house, and you expect every corner when he shuts the fridge door, when he shuts the pantry door, when he shuts this, when he does that, and, like, the music builds up, and then all of a sudden he closes it, and he's not there. And then he closes it, and he's not there.
Yeah.
And he's, like, all of a sudden he just, like, pops out of nowhere. Or
Lots
whatever.
of fake outs in that scene.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was pretty cool.
Yeah. One thing I'll say too, I don't particularly find slashers, aside from the original Halloween, to be particularly scary. I never found the first Scream movie to be scary at all. I was amazed at how remarkably unscary this movie was.
This was not scary at all.
Yeah. Not even a little bit. Not even a jump scare.
Did you find it scary?
I think there was one. What was the one jump? There was one jump scare. I forget what it was though.
Don't count jump scares.
Oh, okay.
But I want to know which one it was.
I think it was when in the bushes, when the kid with the GPS thing, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden Ghostface jumps out of the.
Well,
bushes.
that was also a direct reference to the first movie as well, when Ghostface comes out of the barn to kill that kid, and he's running up behind him and
Right.
stabs
Yeah,
him
and
in the
he came
back,
right out
just
of
like
the
Drew
shadow.
Barrymore in the
See,
first movie.
I
Like
love-
this movie is littered with Easter eggs like that.
I love that though.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Is that I'm like, oh, that's from the first one. Even like the music in the guy's car. That's from Scream and from the first one.
Oh, Red Right.
Right,
Yeah.
that song. I was like, oh, it's that song.
Yeah.
Like, I loved the Easter eggs in them, all the
So
references.
okay, so for horror nerds like us, like yeah, those are cool things. But for the average fan going to see that movie, does that mean anything to anyone if
'cause
they
you would
haven't if they're not brushed up on the lore of the Scream franchise?
I feel like no. You
And
have
the
no
Easter
idea.
eggs, I'm sorry, Easter eggs don't overshadow if it's a boring movie. like Easter eggs are fine and cool, but like I could care less about Easter
I
eggs.
don't think it was a boring movie.
I didn't think it was boring. It kept my attention.
Yeah, it was at least quick and it wasn't very long. It was like
Dude, it was almost 2 hours long.
was it?
Yeah.
Which I mean,
Seemed that long.
it didn't.
See,
It didn't,
so maybe it wasn't
it didn't
that
feel
boring.
like it dragged. I'll give it that.
Yeah, there wasn't much
Yeah,
dragging.
I feel
guess
like
it
this
wasn't
is
boring.
like
It was more.
Yeah,
just,
I didn't hate this movie at all. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't. I was a little underwhelmed. I feel like this is. I mean, we've been talking about this movie for so long, and it's been teased and teased and teased. And we were talking about this outside beforehand, but the horror movie community is all collectively on their knees sucking this movie's dick, just absolutely filleting the shit out of it. And I don't know. I tell you, I don't see it. I don't know.
I see it. I
Yeah,
love it.
okay.
I think it was great.
Hey, it's everyone has different tastes. Again, I don't hate the Scream franchise. I'm a fan. I'm just not as huge of a fan as you. I don't know. I feel a little underwhelmed, a little disappointed.
They're praising this movie?
I think Otis is a little underwhelmed too.
Oh,
Would
The
anybody praise
screaming
this
he's
movie?
doing
It's
upstairs.
it's a movie. It's a fine movie. It's nothing to get all
It's
excited
fine.
about and blow it.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else before we keep rolling here? Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Oh, I do think it was kind of cool that Caitlyn Jenner was in this movie. Oh wait, no, that's Courtney Cox Arquette.
We were saying,
My bad.
I did say to Andrew at one point, I was like, look at her hands. Like, she
Yeah.
Look at her hands. She looks
She just looks
if you
very
put
aged.
Caitlyn Jenner and Courtney Cox next to
She-
the amount of work she's had done.
Yeah.
The amount of
man.
work is
Because what's her face? Nev Campbell looked
great.
the same.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell looked
Naturally
awesome,
looked-
and I think
looked like
dude,
this, no plastic surgery.
David Arquette
David
looked pretty
Arquette
good
looked
too.
great, too.
Who looks like they've had more work done?
Oh, it's Courtney Cox.
Courtney
Courtney
Cox
Cox
by far.
or Sweet D Reynolds in the latest season of
Oh.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's a-
Holy
Oh,
fuck.
that's a
yeah,
toss-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caitlin Olsen looks like she's had a few lip injections.
Yeah, I'd say maybe Courtney Cox looks a little
Yeah,
worse.
yeah, she's looking tough. I don't know. So, okay, good segue there. What did you guys think of the treatment of the legacy characters in this movie?
I liked Dewey the best.
He was easily the best.
He's
of the
always
three.
the best, though.
Yeah.
He's the most likable character.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to love him. Gail Weathers, Courtney Cox, Nev Campbell, they were kind of corny through most of it. They were kind of like, okay, let's do this again. Man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
I feel like
was-
so them bringing Dewey back for this, he was the Han Solo of Force Awakens in this movie, for sure.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you've seen Force Awakens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I feel like his character in this movie didn't feel as forced as Sydney and Gail's characters did.
Right.
Like Sydney and Gail both had like the corny like one-liners, like
Yeah.
I'm Sydney fucking Prescott. Of course, I have a gun.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay, all right, I get it.
But Dewey's lost, like, everything. His marriage to Gail went out the window. Like, he's an alcoholic. He lost his badge.
Yeah.
Like, there's,
Yeah.
like... Now he's hit rock bottom. And then he dies.
Yeah.
He actually dies.
Yeah, that was
which
a bummer.
is so sad.
That was a bummer. That was they did my boy Dewey dirty. I think in this movie. I feel like he was only in it for like half an
I
hour.
know.
He was in it very very quickly, and I feel like so okay. If you've seen the trailers or the marketing or the commercials for this movie, they're very heavy leading into the fact that those three are back for this movie. And I
Right.
feel like this was mostly a story about these new kids. They
Yes.
really weren't in it as much as you were led
Yeah.
to believe.
They were there for all the major parts
Yeah.
though, of the movie.
Yeah.
So then I guess to go back to your point, if you haven't seen the other Scream movies, you're then seeing this for the first time and they're building a new... What they
Sure.
said, like a requel, it's a new thing,
Sure.
a new set of characters.
Sure.
But you introduce the old characters to kind of lure other people in.
Therein lies the problem, right? And this just might be, a 35-year-old yelling at clouds, but I didn't think that any of the new characters they brought in for this movie were anywhere near as interesting as any of those characters were in the first movie.
No, not at all.
I guess you're supposed to care about the two sisters, the two main characters of the movies, whose names I can't even remember. Samantha and
Tara?
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I completely understand what they're trying to do because they can't make Scream movies with David Arquette, Courtney Cox, and Nev Campbell forever because I'm
Right.
sure that they're probably all set with playing these roles.
Yeah.
They
they'll get the
want to
royalties.
restart. They want to hit the reboot button on Scream for a new generation, and
Yeah.
this is what they're trying to do here.
I am upset that they killed Dylan because I really liked his character.
Dylan
Minette.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah. Wes, which obviously his name nod to Wes Craven.
Right.
So, lots of one of the main characters' names. One of the teenagers. Her last name is Carpenter. So I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
They very much throw these.
Samantha
Tippy-toe.
Carpenter.
Tippy-toe,
Samantha
tippy-toe,
Carpenter.
Samantha
Yeah.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. You know, first horror movie we've seen in 2022. It's January, so we can't really rank this against anything else that we've seen this year.
Then it's the best.
I guess
It's outside my top 10.
You know what we can also say. So by default, it's
The worst.
the best and also the worst movie of 2022 so far. 'Cause
that's
it
awful.
stands in a list by itself.
It's the lone movie.
The lone movie. So I guess regardless of my disappointment in this movie and Andrew's utter, lack of caring for this movie, audiences have spoken. So we are recording this on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, 2022. Early numbers are in for this movie, and it is a smash hit.
Nice.
Fifth entry in the franchise, earned an estimated $30.5 million over the weekend, starting with Thursday night. So Thursday through Sunday made over $30 million in the United States. And, an estimated $30.5 million over the weekend and $35+ million over the 4-day holiday here in the States so far. So finally did the unthinkable and unseated Spider-Man No Way Home from the #1 movie at the box office.
Smash.
Wow.
Which, that in and of itself,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
that's awesome. That's great. I'm
You can
happy to
knock
see that there
Spider-Man
are
out of
people that are willing to go see a horror movie, albeit a franchise horror movie in January that's going to, unseat a Spider-Man movie that's been out for over a month. I guess that goes to show how big horror still is, and how big of a name the Scream franchise still is.
People have been waiting for this for years now, including us.
Well, so the most recent entry in this franchise was in 2011, so it's been 10 years since the last sequel. 25 years since the original Scream movie.
Right. But
Yeah.
COVID postponed this.
Make you feel so old.
25
Right?
years ago.
The release? Didn't
Yeah.
it postpone the release?
I
thought it did.
probably did at some point.
We
'cause
watched the trailer for this a
everything's
long
yeah.
time
We've been talking about this movie for a long time. So, yeah, 25 years ago, Scream came out. I was 10 years old.
That's crazy. I don't want to think about that.
Wild shit.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, this is the first Scream movie that is not directed by Wes Craven, who passed away in August of 2015 from cancer. Film is dedicated to him at the end. Obviously, a nice little touch. And obviously, we mentioned this already, but Dylan Minette's character is named Wes, which I'm sure is a clear nod to Wes Craven.
And even at the end it says for Wes.
That's what, I just said that.
Oh, yeah, I was not paying attention.
That's okay. Fair
It's
enough.
like for Harold.
Yep, for Harold. Yeah, just like in Ghostbusters. So this movie is, however, directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, who collectively form the directing and production group Radio Silence, who I know we've discussed them at length. They did Ready or Not, which was a fantastic movie, and they also directed parts of Southbound, which we covered on a podcast just a few weeks ago. This movie was initially going to be titled Scream 5. The numeral was dropped from the title to make it very clear that this film, though a direct sequel to Scream 4, was a relaunch of the series, since the fourth film was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy that never happened due to the low box office returns and Wes Craven's death.
I don't think, we were talking about this, I don't think I've seen Scream 4. I don't even know if I knew Scream 4 was out there.
That's insane, since you're such a huge fan of the franchise.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
it just kind of
loser.
flew under my... When did Scream 4... Do you know when Scream 4 came out?
2011. It's been 10 years since the last Scream movie.
Yeah.
And you also watched that terrible Scream TV series that was on
Oh, it was good.
MTV.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
How many seasons did it go?
I don't know. I don't remember half the shit I watch.
That's true. I feel like you just throw shit on the background and say you watch it and you don't
Yeah.
even know what happens.
Yep. Yes.
All right, so you ready for some of the connections to previous films? So, obviously, really, if you didn't pay attention to the first spoiler warning and you cared, now spoiler alert. So the new ensemble cast of characters' connections to legacy characters are as follows. Samantha Carpenter, who we just mentioned, is the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis. Wes is the son of 2011 Ghostface survivor Judy Hicks, who is now the sheriff in Woodsboro. Chad and Mindy, who are the twins, are the nephew and niece of the late Randy Meeks, who was played by Jamie Kennedy in the first and second films.
The two of those characters.
Vince Schneider, I forget which character that is the nephew of Stu Mocker and Amber Freeman, lives in the Mocker house on Turner Lane. The only Woodsboro High School teacher in the only Woodsboro High School character, the only Woodsboro High School teenage character in the film to not have a connection to an on-screen legacy character is Liv McKenzie, though her surname seems to be a reference to Casey Becker's unseen neighbors in the original film.
Oh,
Go
I
next
didn't
door,
like
call the
her.
Mackenzies. Yeah, she was the one that got shot in the head at the end of the movie. The one that everyone accuses of being the killer, and turns out she isn't actually the killer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she sucked.
Yeah, so lots of connections to the original film here. One thing that I also picked up on that wasn't listed there, the YouTube video that it showed on one of the screens. If you look at the thumbnails to the right, there are interviews with some of the other characters that survived the prior films as like YouTube suggestions.
Oh.
That was on there. What was some of the other stuff? I don't know. I'm sure more of them will come back to me as we keep moving here. Yeah, so that means we're on to categories, and I guess I already kind of gave my thoughts on this. Did you find anything to be scary about this movie at all?
No, not really scary. I mean, no.
I mean, don't be
just say
disappointed
no.
with me. You saw the movie. I didn't make the
No,
movie.
like I'm not gonna have nightmares about it.
Okay.
I
Well,
liked
that's
it.
a good thing, I guess.
It is.
Nightmares.
That's a good thing. I like my sleep.
Very good thing.
Yeah.
Did we all have a favorite part? I'm going to start with you and everything here, Kat, since I know that you
Me?
were a huge fan of this.
My favorite.
Or not a huge fan, a fan of this more than we were.
So one of the things I was noticing was that there was a big difference between the regular Scream movies and this Scream movie. Was the killers, Ghostface, whoever was in Ghostface, was violently stabbing, like quickly and like multiple times. I feel like in the other like Scream movies, like they'd take their time and they'd be like slower, but this was like. So I actually liked one of my favorite scenes was at the very end because Sam is, trying to define herself by, like, her father, Billy Loomis, and saying that she doesn't want to be like him and all this stuff and did all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, when she's killing her Richie boyfriend, she then, like, goes apeshit on him and just, like, stabs
So
the
you know
hell
it's-
out of
you know it's in
Yeah,
it.
I know he's dead.
And I'm just like, wow.
And then
like,
shoots his head like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that was probably my favorite scene, was just at the very end when she was killing her boyfriend.
Since you just mentioned it, what did you think of the inclusion of 2021 Skeet Ulrich reprising his
Oh my
role
God,
as Billy
I
Loomis from the first movie for
loved
the
it.
first time since the first
really?
one? That I actually thought was one of the coolest parts of the movie.
Yeah.
That little twist, which they revealed very early.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't supposed to be the twist of the movie. I feel like that's something you might want to keep in your back pocket a little bit longer than that, because I was not expecting that quickly. I thought we might get a glimpse at some of these. I was actually surprised that Matthew Lillard didn't show up in some capacity in a flashback, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dying over here, man.
No, or
Why not? They had Billy Loomis flashback.
but that's because
Matthew
he was
Lillard's still
relative.
alive.
He was her dad.
Yeah, but what if, like, she saw both the characters? They were both the killers in the first movie. What if she saw both of them
I
in the mirror?
mean, maybe, but Matthew Lillard wasn't in any of the other ones.
No, he was only... Neither was Billy Loomis.
Yeah, or Cotton Weary would have been fun.
Yeah, no Cotton Weary. I don't know.
Ray Donovan. I'd be
just
like,
asking the
hey, I'm not
question.
Cotton Weary anymore.
Just
Call me-
asking the
call
question,
me Ray
caller.
Ray.
You tell me. You tell me. I feel like...
What about you, Michael?
I guess I just... Again, I didn't really think they did a lot... They didn't really have much new material in this movie. It was very predictable, and it was very much exactly like the first
I
movie.
can't really think of any favorite scenes.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good
I
parts.
mean, when the bitch is on fire and he shoots her in the head, then it's fine.
Yeah, that was cool. I guess maybe my favorite part was, when Dewey and Samantha show up at the hospital to save Tara,
Yep.
and they end up saving her, and Dewey lets them all go, which ultimately leads to his death. But I felt like Dewey in that scene was just such a fucking badass. Like, the scene where he
had to play the hero.
he unloads the empty bullets out of his gun and reloads them, and they just shows him like falling down on the ground, just his boots walking, and he's like reloading the gun.
Yeah.
Like, Dewey was a badass
Such a
in this
badass.
movie. Yeah, he was great. So that was probably my favorite part. Also bittersweet because he got. Do you see how far he got gutted? By the way.
Oh, yeah.
That was
That
probably
was-
the best death because he was like getting
Dude, that was like
gutted.
McConaughey in the finale of True Detective season 1, where he essentially gets gutted from like belly button up to his like sternum,
Yeah.
like huge fucking
That was
gash.
when we were talking about that death. I actually really liked how Ghostface said at the end, he's like, "It's an honor. It's been an honor," or something. And I was like, because that was from the trailer, but you kind of assumed he was talking about Sydney,
Yeah,
but not that he was actually going to kill Dewey, and then Dewey would be
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I guess. So we're to assume that most of the physical killings in the Ghostface costume were done by
Amber.
Amber or the boyfriend. Is Amber gonna overpower Dewey?
No.
Well, no.
Fucking,
The,
like,
the
But
boyfriend.
the boyfriend was there.
He was at the hospital.
That's right. So, dude,
so he absolutely. Oh, but he was in the elevator.
yeah, he
so
wasn't.
that
He
was
was in the
Amber.
elevator at the time.
Yeah, he was. No, I know. So that was Amber.
So that was
Yeah.
Amber.
It was most of the times I feel like it was Amber because he was always present
with-
when someone
yeah.
was getting killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hated her. I hated her face. I hated looking at her. She
Yeah.
just such a weird looking.
See, so
person.
I actually, I guess my mind was wandering to different places where I thought it might actually be a little bit more twisty than just the boyfriend and her younger
was
sister's
basic.
stupid friend. Yeah, it was very basic. I thought the mother that was inconspicuously missing for the entire movie of both daughters, I thought she might have something to do with it. I didn't really know what
I
to
thought maybe
expect.
they were gonna have Samantha be the killer, and while she's killing her boyfriend at the end, thinking she's like a hero,
Yeah.
she comes out of it and she's like because she's clearly
Psycho.
a psycho, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, and they're like, you're killing.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that would have been kind of cool, but
I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing when I saw that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there were some definitely some there are some better choices that could have been made. Could have been made for sure. Do we have a favorite or least favorite character? I mean, I'm gonna stick with Dewey on mine. I guess
Dewey's probably the favorite character.
Yeah.
yeah, Dewey was the best. He rocked.
Amber was probably the least favorite
Yeah,
character.
I feel like a lot of the crew
Or
of
Sheriff
teenagers
Hicks.
were unlikable.
She
I
was
mean,
kind of
No.
annoying.
and I feel like we were in the theater with the high school crew from this movie, with the clique of teenagers that were sitting in front of us that got up 85 times during the entire
Do you know
movie.
what's so funny about that group that I noticed? I never saw them get up. I always saw them come back.
Yeah,
Like they'd always be coming.
They were
back
quiet though,
around.
which was good because that lady came in at the beginning. And I
yeah.
was like,
Told them to shut
Yeah.
up. That was kind of awesome. It was like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
one
I
nitpick
actually,
about. Oh, go ahead.
I actually liked the girl twin. I forgot her name.
Oh, so she's the girl. She's in Yellowjackets also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
I
but what was her name?
liked her
Mindy?
because she was just kind of funny, like the way that she was kind of mimicking Randy when she was like on the couch and
Yeah.
she's like behind you, blah, 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 blah. And then even when she's like going into the ambulance and she's
Mindy is her name, by the way.
Mindy
Yeah.
and is given a peace sign to like her brother or whatever.
Yeah.
and you
How
find
they
out
both
he's
survived,
alive.
I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody survived.
So
any of
I was
this.
actually curious. So when they at the end of the movie when they showed everybody in the ambulances that survived, I couldn't. Was that her brother?
Yeah.
The
I'm pretty
jockey?
sure
that was her
I
brother.
couldn't tell.
I
if that
couldn't
was
tell
him
you,
or
but I
not.
think
Yeah.
it was because
Yeah.
who else would
Okay.
it have been?
Yeah,
Right.
I couldn't think of anybody else. 'Cause
Yeah.
all the
I
other guys
liked-
were clearly dead.
I liked
so.
her. She was good.
Yeah, so she was also, we talked about it, also in The Leftovers, which
Mm-hmm.
is a very underrated show, and she's in Yellowjackets, plays one of the main characters in Yellowjackets.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. Good stuff.
I liked Wes, too.
Let's see. Yeah, well, yeah, because he looks like our buddy, so
Right.
it's easy to root for him, although he did meet a nasty
He
end.
had a terrible death.
Yeah, with the knife
his
through the neck. Yeah,
And you
sorry.
could see the other
I like the way they
side.
Sorry,
killed that
Charlie.
one guy where he just was like the guy with the car. He's just like real quick. Just
The mullet guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pointless character, by
Yeah.
the
I'm
way.
glad they got rid of him.
Yeah, like
he
a
reminded me
total-
of the guy from like Stranger Things, like season 3.
Oh, yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
And they're like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
good,
yeah.
he's dead
He didn't
now.
do anything.
Yeah,
No.
I feel like he was meant to be a red herring, but he was only in the movie for 2.5
seconds.
minutes. So
Yeah,
it
so it's
couldn't
hard to
really
be a
been
red herring when he's
Like,
there for.
yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think about like the so basically Scream is a very 90s movie.
Correct.
This is definitely a movie made by, to poke fun at or lampoon like Gen Z and millennials. What do you think of like the use of technology in this movie? Which obviously I feel like in a Scream movie in 2022, you have to involve it in some way, shape, or form. Like with the GPS tracking, the text messaging, the home security systems controlled by your phones,
Yep, we will
like
never
all
have that
that
in our
stuff.
house, ever.
Yeah,
We will
well-
never have locks that are controlled by your phones. Absolutely not.
That's all well and good. I'm asking, do you think that actually helped or hurt this sequel? Do you feel like it was a fresh take on it? Do you feel like it
I think
took
that was
away
the only
from
really part of the
originality?
technology was that part, right?
Yeah.
Other than, there wasn't really much.
Well, obviously, everyone has cell phones. In
Well,
this, which
yeah,
was-
but that's- That's everything now. It's just I feel like that is I don't even notice that anymore because
Yeah.
it's just so
it's relevant.
normalized.
It's relevant to the times.
yeah. Okay.
Nothing. It was nothing out of the ordinary.
No, it wasn't like they had like
Yeah.
self-driving cars or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
like,
wasn't
is that
in the
necessary?
future.
That'll be in Scream 2055.
Scream 2055 and the
Yeah.
car will be the murderer.
Yeah, yeah,
When they have-
exactly.
when
The
they have-
car's killing us.
When they have doorbells that sing.
Yeah, the doorbell.
Someone's at the door.
Did anybody else find it weird though, like when Sheriff Hicks called the police, or she was on, like when she was leaving her house to go get sushi, and she was worried about her son?
Yeah.
She's the sheriff. She called the police,
And nobody showed
and
up.
it took. Did anybody even
No.
ever show up? Like,
No.
I mean, I don't know how much time has passed in between all the taping
must
around,
have
but
been
no one came.
yeah.
Like, it's a small town, and she's the sheriff, and they're like, Yeah, we're all at the hospital drinking hot chocolate. And
Right?
Yeah, that was definitely something that I picked up on too. Like, okay, yeah, the sheriff of police is telling you, the chief of police is telling you that she's in danger at her home, and don't you think every officer's dropping everything? And
also, do they all know her address? Because she didn't give her address. She just
they
said
must.
my house.
They must know. They must.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe that's why they didn't show up.
It's a small town.
Yeah, small town. You should probably be there in 2.5 seconds.
Easy.
Know?
There should be a car there before she even gets home.
The other nitpick I said to Andrew in the movie was that when they realize that no one's guarding the terrace floor anymore, and Sam calls like.
See that I don't think it's a nitpick because she's trying to get her directly. Why would you call the hospital?
Because if she knows, she'd have someone from the hospital go up.
That takes longer. That takes longer to get in touch with her.
That's true.
If you call her cell phone, she'll answer and you have her immediately instead of being like, hold on, this is a hospital. It takes like 10 minutes.
Then she could hit like the nurse button or the panic button or whatever, and someone could potentially be there very
But they were
quickly.
all dead anyway.
Yeah, they were all dead.
All 2 people that
were
working
honestly,
in that
where
hospital.
are all the people in the hospital?
Right. They have a whole floor.
All 2 people that were in the
Although,
hospital.
actually, you know what? They did say they were going to move her to a private floor at one point.
They
so
did.
Maybe,
They said private
maybe
floor.
That was why.
What hospital has a private floor
Not during COVID.
No.
Yeah, definitely not. No COVID in
Well, there were no
Woodsboro.
masks, so this must be PC or...
Well, they obviously
AC.
they're not going to film it with masks on. You know, they definitely filmed it before COVID, I think. Or
Pretty sure
most of it.
That'll be a thing at some point. Movies with masks on.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be like, this is normal.
Yeah.
Oh, right, where's my mask? Put it on for the watch the movie.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. Oh, so I got one little piece here that I picked up on, this has to be a reference to this movie. So, Amber, the killer, the female killer, has one of the more memorable faces, I would say, that I've seen on young actresses in Hollywood recently. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first, but her death scene confirmed it for me. She is one of the 3 home invaders in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the end. She is the one that gets lit on fire with a flamethrower by DiCaprio's character, and then essentially is running around like a lunatic with her hands up.
Yep.
And then after she is shot and presumably killed, she is falls onto a stove that's flaming, and she gets lit on fire. I feel like that has to be a reference to her role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Is that how fast a human would light on fire, though? I feel like that's
No.
like
Well,
wild.
she
Like
was-
she landed. Is her hair really dry or something?
Didn't she get beat over the head with like a bottle of alcohol? Because she had like glass all over her face.
You know what? Okay.
So
maybe.
there we go. There's less nitpick then.
Yeah,
Because
she
I didn't
had
notice
glass
that. I was
all
too busy
over her
staring
face.
at the ceiling, going, "When is this over?"
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, but now I feel better because I was like,
Just
I was like, oh my god, how dry is your
Yeah, 'cause
hair?
I feel like they wouldn't have just done that. I feel like she had to have
No,
been covered
she
in
got
booze.
smashed.
Because
by-
otherwise
yeah.
it just makes
So I feel
zero
like
sense.
they did pay attention to a lot of details in this. Like, so Tara, the younger sister, one thing that I thought. So one of the coolest parts was at the first scene where she actually survived. She's the first victim of any of these movies to not be killed in the opening scene.
Right.
When Ghostface stabs her through the hand.
Oh yeah.
That was
Oh,
sick.
yeah, that
and then
was
she, essentially, she's trying to get away in her wheelchair, but she can't wheel her wheelchair because her hand is bandaged because Ghostface put a knife through her hand. So they did pay attention to little things like that. So she had to have been covered in some sort of very
She was
flammable
absolutely,
alcohol. Okay. So in terms of the kills and the kill count in this movie, we already mentioned that Dewey has a pretty memorable death. He does go out on a high note, I would say, in terms of a kill.
It's an honor.
Were there any other kills that stood out to you guys? They were okay. I feel like the Wes getting the knife through the neck in one side and out the other, that was pretty cool.
Richie's
they kind
death
of
at
lingered
the
on
end.
that. Yeah, Richie's death at the end.
I mean, most of the kills were pretty solid.
They were
Amber's
People
death
getting
was
stabbed.
pretty.
That was one of the things I saw about this movie, that it was like very violent and brutal.
I don't feel like it was that brutal.
No, I
like
didn't
there was
either.
some brutal parts.
Yeah.
But no, I've seen way more brutal.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, the most brutal thing might have been Ghostface stomping on Tara's leg and snapping her
Yeah,
leg.
that was-
That was nasty. But that, she survived. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So fun fact about the Scream franchise: it was almost featured as a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights in Florida. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and due to rights to the film, they ultimately did not get the ability to use it, and it was turned into a house based on The Purge, which Universal owns the right to. think the Scream franchise, this movie, or just the Scream franchise as a whole, would work as a haunted attraction because I feel like it would be too reliant on one particular scare, which is a guy in a ghost face mask.
So that's the point.
Yeah, so that doesn't make a good.
Why?
It wouldn't be a lot of. It wouldn't be a lot of variety.
Yes,
I
it would.
guess.
You could have the house, the high school. I mean, there's plenty of like different
The high school.
like environments. Well, if you're talking about
You're
the
talking about
franchise
sets.
as a whole,
I'm talking about scares, like variety of scares, other than just Ghostface.
you could have Billy Loomis just pop out of nowhere, or
I
Stu,
suppose
and be
you
like,
could. Skeet
"Dude, I'm
Ulrich would be
dying,
scary.
man."
You could have the skeleton of Courtney Cox pop out and scare people as well.
I believe it's Caitlyn Jenner. I'm telling you, do a side by side. You're gonna go, wow.
We're gonna do that
Her
after the
bottom
podcast.
of her chin. It's like her chin got brought out this way. She has like a square
Oh
face now.
God, yeah, she's.
So I have
Feel
to
bad
ask.
now for Courtney.
I have to ask because we're talking about Scream 5. We're talking about a franchise. We're talking about an
do
attempt.
not want to see another one.
We are talking about an attempt
yeah,
to
I want it.
reboot a franchise for a new audience.
Oh yeah.
Does this movie deserve a sequel?
Yes, it
and do you
does.
think we'll get one?
Yep.
I think we'll
we're
get
gonna
one.
get one. Yep.
Whether we want it or not. And for the record, you can do the next Scream movie by yourself if you want.
Oh, boo.
I'm just kidding. I would always be there to make fun of a movie that you like.
Thank you.
That is true. You would not be able to miss
You will
that.
always be there.
Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, I mean, I just wonder how many more movies they're going to trot Nev Campbell and.
They're not going to be
Yeah.
back. They're
No,
done.
Yeah,
they're
This
done.
is what they were doing.
Do you think it resolves their stories on enough of?
But
a
what are you
note?
going to go with these boring characters that are left?
Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well, most of them are still alive, so they can kind of.
Well, and I liked they brought Randy's sister in there, and she looks exactly the same.
Yeah. They did tie almost every character in the movie to somebody from the first movie, which
Ray Ray will be back in the next one.
yeah, there was no mention of Cotton. Not even a mention of
No.
Cotton Weary, huh?
No.
Interesting, considering
Well, they showed it on
his
clip-
level of
clip
involvement in
reel.
the first 3 movies.
yeah.
So I don't
Maybe
know.
he's sick of doing them too.
I guess he's Ray Donovan now.
Yeah, he's Ray Donovan, dude. Sure. I don't know. So
Wait, is
yeah.
Ray Donovan a different person now?
No, that's Cotton Weary. It's the same
Yeah, the guy that
actor.
plays Liev Schreiber, who plays
Yeah.
Ray Donovan,
Oh.
he's in the first 3
He's
Scream
I
Cotton
don't
movies.
Weary.
remember him in the first one.
He's the guy that in the first one had an affair with Nev
Sydney's
Campbell's
mom.
mom, and they think he killed her, and he's in prison wrongfully for it.
Yeah. He's just in so many better movies that I forgot about.
Yeah,
them.
then he's in the he has a bigger role in
love
the
Liev
second
Schreiber.
one, and then he's
Yeah.
also in the third one for a little bit as well.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah,
I
so he was
Liev
probably like,
Schreiber.
I'm sick of these.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I don't know if we necessarily need one, but I'm sure we'll get one.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sure too.
which I'm sure Kat will be first in
I'll
line
be like,
for.
woohoo!
Hopefully, it won't be. Hopefully, it'll be delayed by some other pandemic.
Yeah.
And we won't have to watch
Well,
it.
here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. I am happy that you found this to be an enjoyable movie as a fan of the Scream franchise, and that you probably felt some sense of nostalgia watching this.
Absolutely.
Which, when you watch a movie like this, if you're a fan of the franchise, as I mentioned, your level of fandom for the franchise is going to determine how much you like a movie like this. So I'm
Yep.
happy to hear that you did enjoy it.
I
in that
did.
Sense.
I
Yes.
very much
It
enjoyed
scratched your itch for Scream.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'd watch it
Now
again.
We can go like 2 or 3 years without talking because we have talked about it. So
We've been
much.
talking
I
about
know,
it
I
for quite.
know.
It's been
quite
at least a
long
year.
time.
I feel like.
Hey, next month you want to do one of the Scream? Want to do Scream 3?
I don't want to do any Scream. I will scream. I will scream.
Andrew screams. We all scream for Scream. Well, with that corny ass joke, that might be a good way to end this
Yeah.
podcast. Do you guys have any other thoughts on Scream before we put a bow on this bitch?
I'd say
Theater? See it in theaters? Don't see it in theaters?
I'd say see it in theaters. I think it makes a difference.
I would
Although,
say, hey, if you're a fan of the franchise, see it in theaters.
Yeah.
What the hell? Go
If you're
support the
not,
theater.
if you're not, there's plenty of other movies you can go see. Like there's that movie with Owen Wilson and Jennifer
Oh
Lopez.
my,
coming
god.
my God.
We saw some terrible trailers before this
Yeah.
movie. Actually, the first one we saw, I forget the name of the movie, but it was a horror movie I'd
That
never
looked
heard
decent,
of before.
yeah.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It was The Cursed.
Cursed,
The
yeah.
Cursed, yeah,
or
some generic title.
name, which made me go,
Yeah.
I don't really
Then we
wanna
got
see
a
this now.
shitty romantic comedy with Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez that looked awful. Another trailer for that dumbass Michael Morbius Spider-Man vampire movie. And then what the fuck
There
else
was
did we
one
get?
other terrible one. Not the dog one, that's fine. Any movie with the dog, I'm cool
Oh,
with that.
yeah, with
The
Channing
Channing
Oh,
Tatum
the
one.
fucking... There were two...
The one with Channing Tatum
Two
and Sandra
Channing
Bullock
Tatums.
where it's like...
Oh God!
I don't even know what that
and,
was supposed
dude,
to
and
be.
Brad Pitt swoops it at the end of that trailer. He must need to pay some bills.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like,
Jesus
you got a
what
couple
the
million
fuck
laying
is
around.
he doing
Oh,
in that
come on.
piece of garbage? Good God, I love Brad Pitt. I hate to see him slumming like
And there's
that.
that Jared Leto movie again.
Yeah,
Leto.
Morbius, that dumbass looking movie. Yeah.
Leto.
Hey, Sony's like, hey, guess
Leto.
what? We have Spider-Man. Come see 85 Spider-Man movies.
Leto.
All right, anyway. Well,
Oh.
that's going to do it for our thoughts on Scream 5, Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it.
Go see it.
Yeah, I guess go see it. If you're looking for more of what we have to say on the internet, here's where you can find us. We're on apod.com. That's our website, ahhpod.com. We're also on YouTube and Facebook. Just search for America's Hometown Horror, and you will find us. You can also tweet at us at Hometown Horror, and you can find us on Instagram at Hometown Horror Pod. Hey, and you can even send us an electronic letter at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. You can also listen to our show anywhere that you get your podcasts. Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, blah, de blah, de blah, de blah. That's going to do it for another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. I am your host, and I have been joined by my esteemed co-hosts, the Spooky Hound Dog, Catherine, and Andrew. Guys, what's your favorite scary movie? And say goodbye to your listeners.
Goodbye.
Adios,
supposed to say our scary
muchachos.
movie.
You don't really have to. I was
Oh.
just saying it to as a scream.
I like
about-
Scream.
I figured.
I know you do, yeah.
I don't
Good evening! Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.